So we are entering day 2 of our last minute Christmas build. To recap you from the first part, this is a build for my sister who helps with testing on the website, but also, more importantly, does some HTPC gaming, heavily modded Skyrim, Watch Dogs 2, and some other stuff. So we're rebuilding the system. I didn't have enough time to order things, I don't think, so we're building based on what we can scavenge. Before getting to that, this content is brought to you by Catalyst Mints, which are keeping me awake as I had 3 hours of sleep because I had to wake up for an advertising call at 10 a.m. and then start working on this build again and shoot the video. So Catalyst Mints is the sponsor. You can find a coupon code and a link in the description below, Gamers Nexus, for 5% off. All right, so second part of the video is the build. We're actually gonna build up on the bench here, remove this X99 system, put the parts that were chosen yesterday up here, and then make sure they work. So once we've determined if the 3570S, which has never been used, works, and the H77 motherboard, which has never been used, works, and the RAM, which has also not been used, once we know these things work together, it'll be time to put it in the Manta, and I'm sure there will be more challenges to face at that point. So at the time of filming, it is December 22nd. We've got about a day-ish, maybe 2, depending on what can be put together on the 24th. Then it's got to be delivered. Couldn't go with the N1901. We went with the Manta because it was available in inventory. And yeah, let's put all the parts on the bench, see if it works, and then get to the system build. Let's see if the board, the CPU, and the RAM work first. I have a power supply that I know is good. We're gonna need a cooler. Probably just grab a stock Intel cooler for now, because I know all of those work. Little baby motherboard. Remember that video we did in response to motherboard.org when they were talking about how hard it is to build a computer? I stand by the original statement, which is that it's not hard. In fact, we're already almost done. Power supply, we'll use the one that I know is good, and we'll try the Rosal ones later. 4-pin. That's good. I need a video card for now. Giving everyone the finger. Okay. So dummy video card for now. It's a 980 Ti that I know works. Need to clean the CPU surface. So rubbing alcohol. Unfortunately, we don't have any thermal paste right now. As you can see, we are almost out of thermal compound. I'm gonna go ahead and use this stuff, which is not Arctic cooling. This is actually a syringe that I used to pull from these, which is what the liquid cooling factories that Asetek uses. These are applied straight to all their liquid coolers, and it's crazy good. So we're gonna use that. And I need a paper towel. So low power Intel CPU should be miles better than a Trinity CPU. Even though it's not the newest thing in the world, I'm thinking we'll be okay. I need a storage drive. Damn it, the one I wanted to use is PCIe. I wanted to use this because I know it has an Ivy Bridge Windows build on it already, so Windows won't have to worry about being confused about what it's doing in its life. But we only have one PCIe slot, so I guess I can unscrew this and plug it into a USB 3 housing and then try to boot from that. So we're gonna try that. I'm not sure if it'll actually work. And that too, SSD, and I need the housing, which is in the other room. Okay, that's what we need. Is this even the right form factor? Yes. So I think, oh, please work. That's not good. Does this have an M2 slot on it? I doubt it. No. Okay, so that was a wasted effort. So many drives with Windows images on them right now because I've been doing SSD testing the last few days. So I'm just going to pull one of those that's already been tested, and we don't need to worry about contaminating the environment anymore. I can clone the existing HTPC's environment onto our new SSD, which I still have to pick out. So might as well do that now. We'll go pick out the boot SSD for this system and an SSD with an image on it for testing. This Plextor drive is not currently in use. So we can pull this drive for testing. That's the M7V, we can use that. And then we've got a bunch of other SSDs over here. A bunch of them labeled with the image. This is our case testing image, 6700K now is what it was built on and for. X99, Windows 10, AMD 7870 and FM2 stuff. This is another X99 image, unused Intel something, unused V300 something, another X99 legacy image, dead Savage SSD. Where do I have, what's this one? What's this SSD? There we go, MX300, if you can see that. So we got an unused Crucial MX300, bought recently for the SSD test bench, but we might not have time to test it before I put it in the system. If that's the case, I'll buy another one. But MX300, 2.5 inch, and this is SATA, of course. Where's the size? 525. This is a 525 gigabyte SSD, so that'll help solve some of her storage issues we talked about earlier. Oh, it's up there too. So I think we are good. Really? Man. All the frickin' SATA things are way up here at the top of the system. That's so stupid. They put their CPU so far over here that the SATA has to be up at where the CPU normally is. So there's our drive with the OS. Better thermal paste than that Intel cooler deserves. There we go. Okay, I think we're good. I think this can be turned on. Need to jump it. Seriously? No? Okay, red. Second guess is right. So it's attempting to boot. Is the fan spinning? Yes, fan is spinning. It worked. Didn't get into BIOS, but it booted. So we've got a getting devices ready screen, which means, why the heck did you change motherboards and CPUs on me? What are you doing? Because this has Windows 10 on it. Windows 10 is the grumpiest old man operating system possible. Okay, it works. But for all the ways it sucks, this motherboard does actually have a wireless card on it, although it's probably not as good as the one I'm going to put on it later because it didn't connect. Okay, that's a good start. Tracking number. Inwin has sent me a tracking number for FedEx for that 901 that we gave up on. Let's track it. Ship date 20th. That was yesterday. Scheduled delivery 27th. That's no good. That doesn't help us at all. That means we won't get it till after Christmas, which means if it's used at all, it will be in an update later or for a different system. So I guess we're gonna stick with the Manta for now, which does simplify the coolers. That means I guess I'll throw a, whatever the 240 is in there, the X52, we'll throw in an X52. That'll allow us to run really low fan speeds as well, so it'll be pretty damn quiet. That's a bonus. Math is not great for the radiator positioning, but I can make it work. So, but anyway, back to this. So CPU, we've got a system working. It's on the open platform. Haven't put no point putting it in a case yet. Detected as a 3570S, Ivy Bridge, 65 watt, low wattage CPU, but significantly more powerful than the 5800K that's in there, because this came out a little bit, maybe not, but I think it came out a little later. And we boost up to, we go up to 3.8 gigahertz. What's our memory? It detects both modules, and we're getting 1600 megahertz. So I have to see if we can change that. But I actually have not looked up benchmarks for this. I don't know that they exist, but we'll go ahead and try and find some benchmarks and see if it's good enough, or if I need to put a Haswell chip in here instead. Okay, cool. 3D Mark, I'll take it, I guess. What's our score? Is it even on here? 3570S. There's no S, but we can take the 3570, that's fine. It is a bit higher performance, but give me a baseline. 3570 was at 5950, which is totally useless to us unless we compare it to something. Outperforms in 3D Mark, take it for what it's worth, outperforms an i5 6400. That doesn't sound right, but I guess it's possible. So we'll probably be around this, I'm thinking we'll be around this area. 6500U, that's fair, that's gonna be comparable. So it'll probably be around the 6500U for performance, which it puts us above an 8320, and where is there a Trinity APU? That's what I'm really curious about. 5800. 58. Oh. Okay, so what's our right column? Value for money. Yeah, well, that makes sense. 3380. Okay, so 33 is, that doesn't look right. Some of these numbers don't look right, but whatever. Okay, so 3380, 7850K, I have one of those. I know how that performs, that's pretty good for what it is. 4570, 6200U. We will definitely be at least here, I would think. So that puts us, it's not a huge upgrade in that regard, but I guess we'll see. I don't know, it should be a lot better though. This is what I have. So we're gonna be versus the 3570. We are operating 300 megahertz slower base. We've got the same cache, same DMI. It looks like it's just 300 megahertz slower. Cool. 5800K, 3380. So 3380 versus. Oh, that is actually quite a substantial upgrade. So we're gonna get almost 2x 3D Mark performance, which is somewhat indicative of the real world. It's 2x there. Where's the 4770? This is 5950 from 3380. And the 4770 is at 8040. Okay, well, that's backup. I'm really gonna try not to use that, but we do have one if necessary. So the takeaway here is that the 3570 will be a substantial upgrade to the current system, which is already playing games fine, but is choking on the CPU. This will solve most of that, especially with the GTX 960 in there. So this will resolve that until we upgrade the GPU, which is not gonna happen right now. So I think we're good. I think 3570 is a good CPU, and it's working. So we have a good solution for everything at this point. Getting off the 5800K will be a substantial improvement to performance. Now let me check the BIOS, and then we will move on to building the system. $99.79 BCLK. Thank you, Gigabyte, for never reporting 100. Where's our frequency? Can we actually increase this? Oh, we can force it into a higher clock rate. So we can force it up to 34. I think it's 31 stock. So that might be worth doing once I have a liquid cooler on there. Not that it would need it anyway. What else do we have? Memory multiplier, there we go. That's all we got. 1600 megahertz is the end of the memory support, which we'll try it. We'll see how it goes. No, it is good. Oh, maybe it did actually, but now it's good. Now we want this to be UEFI, which, oh nice, it's actually UEFI, that's surprising. Okay, cool. So everything works, the BIOS works, the system works at a basic level, and we'll test the gaming performance and things like that next. So the next part is take everything that I took off the bench and put it into the Manta, get that build going, and deal with any problems we're going to encounter there. Hopefully none that require anything elaborate because we're running out of time. So here we have our two builds now that the Manta's pretty much assembled. This one is the original HTPC. This is the Silverstone SG09 or SG10 or whatever it is. Really wasn't a bad build. I did this one too a few years ago. It was upgraded at some point from a 750 Ti to a 960, and it's got the small form factor Silverstone cooler on it. I like this build a lot, but it needs to be upgraded. So that's what we came out of, and I took some B-roll of this earlier because I had cobwebs down here. That's been resolved. We've gotten rid of the cobwebs, even though this is being retired soon. And now the Manta build is obviously not fully complete. I still have to cable manage some things, which is a nightmare. But this I've left out like that because I don't know what video card we're gonna have in there. It may end up being a 980 Ti hybrid. Because you can see here, this is like zero space to breathe, so I'm concerned about GPU temperatures. CPU is well taken care of. I've set the radiator up to pull. LED strips are in there. They still need to be finalized. They're not like stuck down with adhesive yet, and NZXT's magnets are not great on these strips. And we've got another problem that I just realized a moment ago, which is that the USB 2 headers, we're working with a mini ITX case with a mini ITX motherboard. Mini ITX motherboards don't have a whole lot of USB 2.0 headers on them because why would they? They're not that big. So we've got one. We have one to work with. And the Kraken and the Hue Plus both require a USB 2.0 header for their LED control through CAM or whatever software you're using, which I guess really there is no other software, it's just CAM. And that's a problem. I tried this. I thought, well, maybe I can connect this to the USB 2, program it to be the RGB spectrum, and then just unplug it, and it would keep flashing through the spectrum and not need to be connected, and I can leave the Hue permanently connected. Unfortunately, that did not work for me. The lights just turned off straight when I disconnected the USB 2, and this is kind of a mess still, but so I don't know 100% for sure what we can do yet. I know that I have a USB 3.0 to USB 2 converter. So I could convert the USB 3 interface in there for the front I/O to USB 2, but that kind of sucks because then we lose both USB inputs on the, or just ports on the front, and we have to rely on everything in the back. And in an HTPC environment, you want convenience, and that's not at all convenient. And a lot of things are going to be plugged into this, like controllers, so that's no good. So the solution then, I suppose, would be to figure out a way to split the USB 2 header out of the motherboard into two more that we can plug this and the Kraken into, and get them both programmed. And I don't know how Cam will like that, or if we can even get a splitter in time. So that's our new challenge. Cable management, whole different story. So all right, let's figure out the USB 2 issue. And I need to grab the SSD for this anyway. Well, grab one of my test SSDs, not the main one, and we can show you the cloning setup while we're in the other lab. Okay. So I guess I can show this. This was the drive that was in there originally. That's been cloned to this 525 gigabyte Crucial MX300, much better drive and bigger. And currently we have a Cronus running. You can see the original. This is a pretty sweet bar, hard drive bar, so it's just like two discs attached to this thing. I really shouldn't move it because they're spinning right now, but two attached to it. That's what mounted in a Silverstone case. This drive is cloning over to this drive. This is a 4 terabyte drive. This is 1 terabyte. So we'll end up with 3 terabytes extra. But this is a dynamic disk, which sucks. I didn't know it was. It's complicated the process a bit. That means, I think actually what I'm doing right now is I'm copying this to the network, and then we're going to pull down from the network and put it onto this, the image. So that has complicated things, but that's our drive cloning process. That way the environment doesn't have to be rebuilt. And I'm going to need this test SSD for the system in the other room. And then we need a USB 2.0 header solution. And I don't know what I have. So I know that internal cable's right here. Not sure what that is. So here's the one I bought a couple months ago and I haven't used. This is the USB 3 to USB 2 solution, and it's even, you can see it's even the male version, so it would work. But again, we lose the USB 3 ports. I don't want to do that. I don't think I have anything else related to USB 2 headers. That's a very specific thing to need. Okay, that's no good. Let's check Amazon. That's another USB 3 to USB 2. That's the opposite of internal. USB 3 to USB 2. Useless. That's an extension. Oh, this is our problem. Putting together a new build, and it looks like I will be short on USB 2 headers. I have the H440 requires one, X61 requires one, Hue Plus requires one. Maximus 8 Hero board only has 2 USB 2 headers. So what are my options? This guy says NZXT internal USB hub. So this is an old one. Okay, this looks promising. So this connects to the board. I guess the board's USB 2 header. And then we've got 3 more that spin off of this. And then 2 USB 2 ports. And I think NZXT sent us one of these. Yeah. So they sent us one of these with the S340 Elite, and I never used it because I was like, why did you send this to us? I have no use for this. Turns out we might actually need to use this. Okay, so that goes to the motherboard. Cool. All right, so let's grab that. I need my test SSD, and this is the review queue of stuff that might get looked at someday, maybe. Some HB bridges, maybe, and then this thing, which landed over there and hasn't been used. We've even got an EVGA power link. Maybe I'll actually use it in this system, I don't know. That's not a bad idea, actually. Time to install the USB hub. So this thing's magnetic, like I said. Can't put it there because the hard drive's going to be there. That would be nice, though. This drives me crazy. There's way too many. I don't know exactly how it would work technologically, but I would love to see NZXT ship something that's like a splitter cable with their Hue or Kraken, and then can be able to understand the dual inputs, even if it's just outputting one set of instructions to both devices. They can perform the same functions, so why not? That makes sense to me. And that would mean we wouldn't need 1,000 more cables. I mean, this thing is one more power cable, and then we'll run a connection to this, and then we'll have 2 going into it. So it's not terrible, but I mean, you know, this is a very cramped case. I'm not excited about needing more stuff, but that's what we will do. So first, I guess we'll kind of set it up in a dummy style just to make sure the concept works. There's one. Where's our Kraken? Got it. Okay. Blind connection. So Kraken and Hue both into the hub, and then power to Molex. So now we're gonna have another device that's powered by Molex. USB to USB, thickly braided cable. Okay. Proof of concept is here. Alright, that's in. Power. I guess that powers the stuff on the case. I really don't want to plug in another Molex power just for this. There's gonna be so many cables down here. Got it. All right. Okay. Everything's connected. Now we have to move it into the other room and connect to a monitor, and then connect the SSD. Okay. You see the SSD? So we have the X52 actually has its LEDs on. The strips, did they just turn off? Are they on still? That's why the strips just turned off for some reason. That's very suspiciously exactly the problem we just had. I'll update that, I guess. Okay. Lighting. Yeah, so we've got the Kraken here and the Hue. The Hue thinks it's updating its firmware. I'm not really sure what it's doing. So those are actually toggling the pump plate LEDs. So it is functional. So even though we're going through a splitter, which makes sense. Going through a splitter, it's functional. Let's set up, I just want a spectrum wave. Forward's fine, middle speed's fine. And now we have a spectrum wave pump plate. The RAM LEDs, you can see they're not that vibrant. So we've got the spectrum LEDs going on. The RAM, I misremembered. I thought it was a bit brighter than it is. I thought it was more of an electric tube, and I have seen electric, like almost cathode style tubes for RAM, but I guess that's not them. I'll have to look around and see if I can change that later, maybe with G-Skill's new RGB Trident Z stuff. Cannot establish connection. Please try again later. So their servers are down or something. That's a good question. Why do you need to access a server to operate your case lights? I think it's a bug with Windows killing the Hue when it boots, and it wants to update the firmware to fix it, and it can't grab the update because it can't connect to a server. And if we text NZXT and ask, trying to log in, it lost connection during a firmware update. Not sure, let me inquire. I said, okay, I'm having trouble with it. Don't know why. And he said the servers are acting up, which is apparently affecting firmware downloads and logging in. So that's no good. I think I asked another question that hasn't gotten a response yet. If I started a download on the firmware and it froze, would that break the unit? I do have a replacement if so. And secondly, what's the ETA for getting this fixed? I don't have an answer. But the good news is, one of the things is working, and we've got about 10,000 cables coming out of the back of the case. Based on the text from Wes, that's not a problem I can fix. Firmware is going to spin forever until it can get a connection. I don't know when they're going to be online. Hopefully, I know people at NZXT are still working up until at least the 23rd. So we might be covered. I was hoping to have the complete build ready for B-roll for you for this clip so we could show the LEDs all working and then get into the benchmarks for the next video. Instead, I hope we're going to start the next video with the completed system, with the LEDs going, and then dive into the benchmarks and show really the only point that matters, which is if we change from a Trinity 5800K to the i5 3570S, is there an improvement? There should be, but I have to test it. Really no reason there wouldn't be. That's obvious to me anyway. So we should see an improvement. It's just a matter of, is it enough to be worth it? If it's not good enough, then I'm going to change the motherboard and the CPU. If it's good enough, then we'll call it quits there. So that is all for this part of the build. At this point, we can't really do anything except for wait for Cam to work and connect to a server and pull the firmware down. So as always, thank you for watching. Patreon link in the post-roll video to help us out directly. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get part 3, the final part of this build, and hopefully it's a successful conclusion, not tearing things apart and trying to replace them with other parts last second. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.